Good day to you. Let's take a look at the next chapter, monitoring and managing performance. You selected the best people, they trained, they're ready for the job. Now, how are you going to evaluate their performance? How are you going to monitor them? What are the performance standards? How are you going to define the performance standards? Whether they live up to the performance standards, and in the end, whether they deliver the results to you. Let's take a look. Now, what is a performance appraisal? This is a very critical concept and a very important one in the whole domain of HRM. Now, the process of monitoring individual and group performance and giving helpful feedback for improvement is called performance appraisal. Let us concentrate on the words improvement, feedback, and monitoring. Now, the organization has to monitor individual and group performances so that you can improve. There is scope for improvement. When there is a lag, the employees know where they are lacking and they can move ahead. This entire process is called performance appraisal. Now, what is the role of appraisal? Why do you have to go to such great extent to carry out this exhaustive process of appraisal? Why do you have to spend so much valuable business time in this function of appraisal? To identify learning and development needs. When you carry out appraisal, you would get to know what are the areas of improvement, so that when there is a gap, you can divert your learning and training efforts towards those areas. To identify problems or barriers to performance, you can understand what is that factor or factors which bars the employee to give his best. Is it the environment, or is his attitude, or is the manager? What is which causes him to give a reduced performance? To identify future potential and in succession planning. Only when you have a decent appraisal system and an effective one, you can identify future potential, the people who will take your organization to the next level over a period of time. To provide the basis for rewards and bonuses and increments. Now, how are you going to give rewards and benefits to your workforce? How do you monitor? How do you segregate them into star performers and average performers? This gives you a basis to give your rewards. Now, let's take a look at a video wherein effective talent management is explained.
Managing talent is what you should be doing 24/7. Well, at least in conjunction with making money, that is. Without your people, your organization wouldn't even exist. Actually, it would, but the offices would be pretty much empty. So, how do you manage talent? You first need to have a plan. Study the needs you have as a growing organization and figure out how you're going to get to where you actually want to go. Next, you need to select the right people for the right jobs. And make sure you don't make any mistakes. It'll probably cost you in the long run. Once you choose them, you'll have to introduce them to your workplace. Some people call this induction. After selecting comes the developing of your people. Make the effort to do this, and you'll end up with a solid workforce. You do want that, don't you? Next comes monitoring their performance. But don't break down their necks. Energizing them is important too. Don't forget to do that. After all, a motivated employee is a productive one. You've heard of succession planning. What do you think that is? That's when you groom people to fill in bigger shoes at some point in the future. Keep cultivating your talent. It's a never-ending process. So there you have it. 6 simple steps to managing your talent.
What is the need for a formal appraisal system? Now, to avoid random impressions of subordinates' performance. Now, managers always tend to have a look at the previous and the recent performances. This gives random impressions. Now, to even out such kind of random impressions, you need to have an effective appraisal system. To devote time and attention for improvement and development, only when you check and analyze and evaluate your performance levels, you will be able to develop and improve. To apply uniform set of criteria. Now, you as an organization, you have to develop and set criteria, what is expected of people and what and when and where they should deliver. Now, to provide systematic and constructive performance feedback. Now, this kind of efficient formal appraisal system will give you an avenue to provide systematic and constructive feedback for the development and to sustain the motivation levels of your employees to move forward, having known the gaps in their performance. Let's take a look at the systematic approach to appraisal. First is the identification of criteria for assessment. What are the criteria which you are going to assess as an employer? These should be defined and established. Then you have to prepare an appraisal report. Then comes the appraisal interview, wherein the elements of the job performance are discussed in detail. Then you draw up action plans and they are followed up. This constitutes your systematic approach to appraisal. What are the appraisal procedures and techniques? Now, personal qualities. The personal qualities of employees are evaluated as part of appraisal. What is the attitude towards customer problems? How good or how bad is a particular employee when it comes to time management? So, personal qualities are evaluated. Competence or results based appraisals. What are the competency levels of a particular employee and what are the results which is producing? So, these are evaluated against the set objectives. Now, what are the relevant criteria? Job role or competence descriptions, department or team plans, individually negotiable goals and standards. Now, based on these criteria, you are evaluated as an employee to move on to the next level. Now, reporting methods. The managers are asked to give an overall assessment of their employees. This is a general approach wherein your manager tends to give a brief description about the performance levels of his team members. Guided assessment is a tad better, wherein the manager is asked to assess his subordinates on a particular set of factors, let us say time management or the orientation towards customers. And one level above is your grading assessment. On one particular quality, managers are asked to rate their employees, say from high, medium, low. When it comes to punctuality, say let's say is it high or medium or low. So it is graded. And fourth is the behavioral incidental methods. Let's say critical incident methods. What are the critical incidents in an employee's performance over a particular period of time which stands out? Either poor behavior or is it good behavior, or how did he support or how did he let down his teammates on particular instances. So this brings out certain qualities of the individual in a situation. These are some of the common reporting methods.